Hey guys, it's Nicole from FrugalChicLife.com here with a live Q&A. For the last hour, I've been struggling with technical difficulties. So I was supposed to go live at 1, and for some reason, I did not realize that Google Hangouts is no longer a thing here on YouTube. And so I had to figure out how to actually go live here. And anyway, it's a whole drama. So I wanted to hop in here. First off, apologize to you guys because that link that I sent out didn't work because I wasn't aware that Google Hangouts is not a thing anymore. So anyway, I hope everybody is having a good afternoon. Hey, everybody. Hey, Alicia, Celeste, Tammy, Tawana. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I'm glad that that you guys found me. I was worried that some people were still over on that other link, just sitting there waiting, like, where's Nicole at? What's going on? Andrea says, hi from Atlanta. Hey, be more in the house, as you guys know. Born and bred. Hey, Alicia, mommy saves a lot. Thank you guys so much for coming out. So I don't really have a ton of like formal content or anything planned for this live, but I felt like I've been so disconnected from YouTube lately. If anybody has seen my recent chit chat video, I was just talking about how YouTube has been tripping lately. It's been hard out here on these YouTube streets because they have been changing the algorithm so much that when you upload videos, you hardly ever get I don't get the type of views that I used to get. People are saying that they're signed up for notifications, but don't get the notifications when videos are up. So it's just one of those things. So I was kind of like mad at YouTube for a while, but I got over myself and I'm back because I know that so many of you guys are still watching when you're able to. Many of you are on my email list and you have tons of questions that you want answered. So just want to pop in. Hi from Atlanta. Hi from Delaware. Okay, Celeste, you're not too far from me. Tammy says, listening from Austria. Love your content. Thank you so much. NYC, Philly. We got a lot of East Coast folks in the house. Day says, can you talk about bridge accounts? I'm looking to start one. What do you mean by bridge accounts? I'm not sure what that is. Tell me a little more. I'm not sure what a bridge account is. All right, we got somebody from LA in the house. Welcome, guys. So thank you so much for all of your support. For those of you who have been watching me for a while, and some of you might be new. How many of you are new to watching my channel? How many of you are new here and have been new to watching my channel? And if you're OG, drop an OG in the comments if you've been around for at least 2 years. But I've been on YouTube now for what, 4 years? Almost 4 years now, or over 4 years, a little over 4 years. All right, so we got several OGs. We got a few new folks. Alicia, I definitely know you're OG. Naturally Cree, OG. All right, guys. Other questions? Yeah, we're definitely going to get to the questions. So let me introduce myself quickly to those who might be new. Most of y'all are OGs. But for those of you who are new, my name is Nicole, and I blog sometimes over at FrugalChicLife.com. But I started my financial freedom journey documenting here on YouTube 4 years ago as I was paying off my student loan debt. And as I started my journey there, just sharing what I was going through, trying to get rid of these student loans, I just somehow found myself with this community built around me where people are like, okay, how did you do this with the cash envelopes? How did you start your emergency fund? How did you do that? And then all of a sudden I started just putting out more content as people requested videos. And here I am 4 years later. Whoever knew that I would still be uploading videos 4 years later, but it's definitely been a blessing and it's opened up so many doors for me. I can't even tell y'all. So some of the things that have been happening recently, one, I launched a podcast. So thank you so much for those who have been listening to the podcast. I think I have like 8 episodes up so far, and it's a learning curve. It's different from YouTube. I actually find it a little bit easier, knock on wood. I'm not going to say that it's easy, but it's a little bit easier, I think, starting a podcast after being a YouTuber. So I find it a little easier, but of course I don't have very many followers over there. So if you guys are not checking out the Frugal Chic Life podcast, definitely do so. Also, my YouTube channel recently has been nominated for an award. This is the 2nd year in a row that I'm nominated for Best YouTube Channel for the Plutus Awards that will be held at FinCon this year in Washington, D.C. So thanks to everybody who voted for me. I was really shocked to see my name on the list. I actually was just I was scrolling on Facebook and somebody was like, congratulations to the nominees. And I was like, oh, let me see who's nominated. Scrolling down. Hey, I know them. And there's my YouTube channel name. So thankful for whoever nominated me for that. So I'm just grateful for that and thankful to be able to help you guys wherever I can. So we got a few people here. So we got some questions coming through. So I talked about where I was recently in terms of my financial journey. For those of you who don't know, currently we're debt free other than the mortgage. And so right now, my primary focus is to replenish my emergency fund because it kind of got a little low lately because of repairs on my rental property. I'm working part time now, so I don't have as much cash flow as I used to. And when you get a couple of like hits to your emergency fund, it's kind of shocking, especially since I'm used to having a more robust emergency fund. And now I'm like, okay, now I got to get this emergency fund back up. So that's kind of the phase that I'm in right now in terms of my personal finances, what I'm doing. So let's see. Let's jump into some questions, guys. I don't want to be talking about me all day. So let's get some questions here. Um, let's see. Day says the accounts before you collect retirement before age 59 and a half. Brokerage, maybe brokerage accounts. Okay, so I see what you're saying. So Day is saying, what kind of investment vehicles or things can you use to build wealth outside of your retirement accounts before 59 and a half? So for those of you here in the US, if you're familiar with the 401ks and 403bs, most of those accounts, pensions, things like that, most of those traditional retirement accounts, you cannot tap into or start withdrawing money from until you're 59 and a half. But what happens for the person that decides they want to retire at 45? Like, what do you do in the meantime to bridge the gap? That's a good name for it, a bridge account. To bridge the gap between 45 and 59 and a half, when you can start taking out some of that money that you have been accumulating all those years that you've been working. So one of the great accounts that I recommend, Day, is a Roth IRA for sure. If you don't have one, that's a really great tool that you can use to build wealth. And if you, for some reason, don't qualify, there are different criteria that you have to meet in order to qualify for a Roth IRA. So, for example, if you make too much money to qualify for one in your household, then you might just want to use a straight brokerage account where you're just putting your money into the stock market and there are no real restrictions on what you can do or when you can access the money. So definitely get a Roth IRA, definitely be putting money into your workplace accounts. That's really the best way that I believe to start with investing. I always say it's not a sexy way to invest, it's not exciting, but it definitely gets the job done. So don't overlook your trusty workplace accounts. And after that, I definitely recommend like I said, a brokerage account where you're just putting money into the stock market on your own outside of any workplace accounts. And I think that's a great way to get started. All right. I'm sure I'm missing questions here. This chat moves fast. Hello, everybody. Alicia says, I'm totally new to investing and would love to start. What tips can you share? And what do you think about Robinhood? Do you do trading? So me, myself, I am a buy and hold investor. I don't do day trading or swing trading. So I'm not the person studying the reports and financial spreadsheets and things like that and saying, oh, this stock is going to take off, let me buy it. Or this stock is getting ready to fall, let me sell. I'm the type of person that, for one, I'm busy. I don't have a lot of time to be, deep diving into these reports, and not busy in a good way. I always said I'm going to stop using the word busy, but that's just not a priority for me to be sitting and spending my time looking through all these spreadsheets, every day to figure out what am I going to buy and sell. So for me, I'm a buy and hold investor. I like index funds because they grow steadily, they're diversified, and all of my money is not in one basket. Robinhood, honestly, I've never used it, so I can't really speak on it. Maybe I'll set up an account and do a trial run and like do a review on it, but I've never tried Robinhood. But I'm a fan of robo investors. I believe Robinhood is a robo investor. And I think it's good because if you're uncomfortable handling it as a DIY investor, do it yourself, then it's helpful to have that support there from a robo investor, a robo advisor. So I think that's a good way to go. Either way, definitely start with I have a hierarchy. Start with your workplace accounts. Once you're doing a pretty good job there, you're putting in at least 15% and or even maxing out, start a Roth IRA. Once you are maxing out your Roth IRA, then you can start looking into doing more investing in the stock market in terms of like a brokerage account or a robo advisor, what have you. Let's see. Mommy Saves a Lot says, can you talk about the fire thing? I've been seeing videos about it. Look, the fire movement. All right. So fire is not necessarily a new thing. I guess it's relatively new. Most of like some of the OG personal finance YouTubers that I guess came up, it was 4 years ago. It's not like that old. Not like I've been around forever. But a lot of the YouTubers that started talking about personal finance around the time that I started my channel, a lot of them were more Dave Ramsey centered. And a lot of people are very familiar with Dave Ramsey because he's been around a long time and has built, an empire around his baby steps. But the fire movement is something a little bit different. So Dave Ramsey is great. I love Dave Ramsey because it's a really great way to hit the ground running. If you're like, look, I need to get my finances together. I want to get started with saving. I want to pay down debt. I need a step-by-step way to get this done. And it's great for that. And you can hit the ground running, starting with your baby step number one and onward. But the FIRE movement, for anybody that doesn't know, FIRE stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. So I'm sure if you've been around and you've been listening to any kind of personal finance stuff, you have heard about the FIRE movement. Podcasts popping up everywhere, YouTube channels, blogs. Mr. Money Mustache is like one of the founding fathers, they say, of the FIRE movement. And so it's really this trend of people saying, you know what, later for retiring at 65 or 70. I want to retire as soon as I can and be able to spend my time the way that I want to. So I personally love the FIRE movement. I think it's great because it really does allow people to see that you don't necessarily have to work that traditional, 40, 50-year career and then retire somewhere to golf when you're 70. And you can take the opportunity to enjoy more of your life now. So I like the FIRE movement from that standpoint, but it can be frustrating for some people who feel like they'll never be able to get there, or they're in their mid 40s and they've made maybe some mistakes in the past with their finances. And they look up and they get excited about this FIRE movement and realize that I really won't be able to retire too much early. Or people who have had tremendous amounts of student loan debt or have spouses that are not on board. There are all kinds of different barriers that can prevent you from pursuing that financial independence and retire early the way you want. So for me, let me share my perspective on it. I'm not necessarily all about the retire early part. I think that part is important if that's what you want to do. But for me, independence and freedom is all about having options. So if you love your job, don't let anybody tell you that there's something wrong with you because you want to keep working. If you love your job, you're in your passion, you're making good money, and you want to work until you're 60 or 65, then do you. Like, do what you want to do. But if for some reason you're not in your passion and you're like, I want to spend my time doing other things, there is a pathway for you to make that happen. And so for me, it's more about the independent side in terms of having the options to be able to do the things that I want to do. And if that means that, my finances are set up in such a way that when I'm 50, I don't have to work anymore, that would be awesome. And so I'm working towards that end, but I'm not going to drive myself crazy trying to achieve that and make a headline and say, oh, I retired at 35. Well, for me, I'm almost 40, so 35 was a few years ago. So that's not going to happen. But it's not necessarily about meeting anybody else's deadline. It's about really prioritizing what's important to you and figuring out what you want in your life. And that's what I've started to realize for myself, because when I first heard about FIRE, I was like, yes, I'm going to retire and I'm going to retire in 5 years. I'm going to do all this. But when I started crunching them numbers, I was like, hold up. I got these 3 kids. They are small. I want to help them out. Some with college. I want to be able to have this legacy for them. Let me slow my roll just a little bit. And then I realized that it's not about just walking away from work and saying I never have to work again in my life. That would be nice, maybe, but it's about really shaping my life in a way that I can enjoy some free time now. And it's a spectrum. That's what I say. Financial freedom, financial independence is a spectrum because it doesn't have to be all or nothing. I'm at the point where I'm now able to work part-time. I'm able to work outside of the home 3 days a week, build my brand, hop on here live in the middle of the day with y'all, be here with my kids because summer camp is over, and do those other things. Whereas before, when I had 6 figures of student loan debt, I didn't have that option. I had to keep working because I got these big student loans to pay back and I got all these bills that I had to handle. But now that that's been cleared, I can say, okay, let me slow down my savings just a little bit and reclaim some of my time and be able to spend more time at home. So for me, that's freedom and independence right there. Being able to work part-time, hopefully for an indefinite period of time if I so choose. So it's about having that spectrum. It's about being able to embrace the things that you want in your life. So that's what I feel the fire movement is about. I don't know if I explained it the best way, but give me a yes if that sounds like something you would want to do. Be able to basically write your own ticket, decide how you spend your time and spend your money. Drop a yes in the comments if that's something that you are looking forward to achieving. All right, let's see. Other questions. Okay, so explain the fire movement. Day says yes, have a Roth IRA, and I know about the backdoor route as well. Bertha says, hello from South Carolina. Love your content. Congrats on your nomination. Thank you. She says you earned it. Alicia says, how often do you invest? Is it every time you get paid, once a month? Also, do you know of any ways to do investments for kids? Okay, so Alicia, for me, yes, I invest pretty much every time I get paid because I put money into a 401k. I have actually two part-time jobs. I'm a certified physician assistant. I did that full-time for many years since graduating from school, and have worked in the emergency room, worked in internal medicine, inpatient, hospitalist, done all kinds of different things with that. Now I work in mental health actually on a part-time basis. And then I teach college courses. So the way I ended up in that six figures of student loan debt was getting 3 college degrees. One was a doctorate. So I worked in higher education. I worked as a clinical coordinator, a program director for a while. Definitely realized that wasn't for me, but it was good experience and it was putting my education to use. And from there, like I said, I had the student loan debt, pay that down, and now I work part-time. So I still work clinically. I still see patients. And then at the same time, I teach college courses online as well. That's one of my side hustles. Because I only work 3 days a week seeing patients, I don't have any kind of workplace accounts there because I'm only part-time. And my online teaching job has a 401k that I can contribute to, but I don't get a match. So I still put money in even though I don't get the match. And that goes in automatically every 2 weeks. It's not every 2 weeks. It depends on where the courses stop and start, but it's roughly like every 2 weeks, twice a month usually. So I put in right now, putting in a good portion of that side hustle money into that 401k to have that continue to grow. And then at the same time, I also have a Roth IRA that I like to max out when I can. And for me, because of, and for me right now, the cap for most people, if you can contribute the full amount, is $6,000. So that's my goal, to put in $6,000 into my Roth IRA. So I try to put in $500 a month if I can. That way, over 12 months, I will hit that 6,000. Some months it happens, some months it doesn't, and then I just have to make up for it later down the line if I want to hit that 6,000. And then I also have a taxable brokerage account where I can log in at any time and put money in whenever I want. If I get an extra check somewhere, thank you, amen. And then I'm taking some of that money and keeping a portion of it to grow and build wealth over time. So I'm investing in multiple places throughout the month. And then the second part of that question is investments, ways to do investments for kids. Yeah, you could do a custodial account for your kids where you're the main person on the account, but your child can also be on the account as well. Of course, if you're talking about college savings, then you have your 529 plans that you can invest in for your kids for college, but that has to be used for higher education. All right. Other questions. Next question. Let's see. Jimmy Caves is a comment, says, better get it while you can because Social Security will run out in 15 years. So there's been lots of talk about Social Security, or social insecurity, as a lot of people call it. And, it's a question. My thing is, let it be icing on the cake. If I get it, I get it, because I've been putting money into it since I've been working. All of us have here in the States. So if I get it, I get it. If I don't, then I want to be fine either way. But I don't want to be solely dependent on Social Security. And if you know any elderly people in your life, you have grandparents and things that are living off of Social Security, is not a lot of money. So I want that to be extra money. If I get it, then that's great. Let's see. Jimmy Cave says, what's the best place to retire in South Carolina, North Carolina? I have no idea. I have no idea. I've only been to South Carolina once, and North Carolina maybe once or twice too. But definitely it's cheaper to retire there than it is to retire here in Maryland, where I'm at. And then we got lots of yeses saying that you all are excited about fire, and that sounds like something good for you. Keep your questions coming if you have them. Mommy Saves a Lot says, should I buy stocks now with the market? Everyone is saying recession is nerve wracking. So here's the thing. I don't know how old you are. Mommy Saves a Lot. I'm going to be 39 this year. And like I said, I want to get to the point where I can retire early if I like, but I just want to have the options of having flexibility to do those different things. Mommy Saves a Lot says she is 34, so not too much younger than me, so close to the same age. But you're at a point basically where you still have many working years, or I like to call them builder years. A lot of people call them builder years, where we're pretty much in our prime. Most of us are starting to make really good money in our careers, and we have an opportunity to earn money. And that is one of your number one tools in your arsenal for financial freedom, is to have a high salary if you can. And if not, to at least be saving a high portion of what you're making. It doesn't necessarily have to be a 6-figure salary, but it's not about how much you earn. It's about how much you get to keep at the end of the day. So that is really important. So could there be a recession coming? Possibly. Because you're young, you're 34. I say you need to invest regardless. If a recession is coming, oh, wow, that just means that I'm not logging in and looking at my accounts right now. My husband said yesterday, did you look at the accounts? Nope, I sure didn't. I'm not going to look. The stock market fell 800 points. Nope, I'm not looking, because I know what it's going to look like, and it's not going to change my outcome. I'm going to continue to invest and put money in anyway, because I'm young enough and I have time for the market to recover. Now, if I was 65 and I was getting ready to retire tomorrow, yes, I'd be a little more concerned. But because I have time to continue to build, every day is a good day to invest. So could a recession be coming? It probably is. You're going to see several of those in your lifetime if you live long enough. So I say keep investing regardless. And if anything, it's just a discount. It's a fire sale. It's a way to buy stuff, or to buy stocks or assets on sale. So if anything, I'd be putting extra money into the market now while prices are low, if you have some discretionary money to do so. But yes, it can be nerve wracking. I say definitely do your best to have a good, solid emergency fund right now, because that is going to be important once you're going into a recession. If you have all of your money tied up into the stock market and you have no cash flow, then that means that you may be forced to sell off your stocks at a time when you need the money. You're strapped for cash, and then you have to sell at a loss. Me personally, I just want to build up my cash reserve. That's even more reason for me to build up my cash right now, because that recession could be coming. All right, Nia Shea. Oh, let's see. Dave says recession is the stock market on sale. Exactly. Buy, and leave it alone. Exactly. Just what I said in a nutshell. There you go. It was a very succinct way of putting it. Absolutely. Nia Shea says, I'm used to paying all of my bills first and then seeing what I have left, but that's not actually working anymore. Try to actually budget properly. Okay. So yeah, Nia, you already see what the issue is, that you're not prioritizing saving because you're paying all the bills off the top, which is important. I mean, you want to, of course, pay your bills on time and in full and all that good stuff. But I like to say, pay yourself like you pay a bill. So with that same degree of urgency that you have with paying off your, the bills that are coming in every month, have that same type of urgency when it comes to saving for yourself and investing. So make it a line item in your budget. Create your budget and make it a line item in your budget every single month. That way, as you go in, boom, I pay BG&E, that's Baltimore Gas and Electric. I pay the mortgage company. I pay Wells Fargo. I pay Verizon for my internet, and I'm putting some away for myself as well. And of course, I'm a Christian, so I tithe also and return at least 10% to my church as well. That comes off the top. Let's see. But yes, Nia Shea, get that budget going. Get it going and make sure that you prioritize saving for yourself. Let's see. Good morning, sister. Ava. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Deshaun says, how do you stay focused? Me personally, I'm a money nerd, so it doesn't really take a whole lot for me to stay focused on my finances. I do have periods of time when I wax and wane, or I'm more excited than others. But at the same time, that's just in my nature to do, because I'm a money nerd. I just enjoy that aspect of it. And a lot of it is probably based on how I grew up. I shared my story before just briefly. I grew up in Baltimore City. My mother got pregnant with me when she was 16, and gave birth to me when she was 17. My father was getting ready to turn 18. They were in high school. They were kids themselves. And growing up, I didn't necessarily have access to a lot. We lived in Baltimore County at times, in Baltimore City throughout most of my formative years. And for me, it was like, let's get out here, get these degrees, and make this money. And then I got to the point where I was making really good money, but I developed a spending habit where I was buying a lot of crap that I didn't need. And also at the same time, I was in a lot of debt because of those degrees that I said I wanted to get. And for me, from that point on, I just figured I need to get this together. I need to get my financial house in order. And for me, it's one of those things where, because I grew up not necessarily having a ton, my parents worked, they were hard workers, but neither one of them went to, finish college. So for me, it was like, I need to do something different for my kids. I want to have a different set of circumstances for them. And that has really driven me in a lot of ways in my life, in my career, in my education, and also the way I look at money. And on the flip side of that, once I got out of that spendy phase, I also went through a little bit where I had to really deal with my mindset issues. So I talk a lot about mindset in my videos because it's so huge. It's not just about the numbers, but it's about the mindset. So at times I do have the tendency to get very restrictive and just be like, no, at one point I don't make as much money as I used to because I work part-time now. So my income has come down significantly, but by choice. But at one point I was making really, really, really good money, and it didn't matter how much money I was making. I always felt like I had to keep hustling to bring in more money. And that was because I was, I still had a deprivation mindset, or will there be times when I don't have things? And so I was clinging on to it and clinging on to my education and those things to bring about some validation within myself. And so now I am working through those mindset issues. It's an ongoing process. I do at times have a tendency to be, as my husband calls me, a budget hawk. So I'm watching everything like a hawk, looking at the numbers. Why'd you spend this? Where'd this go? And so I've had to find that balance of, that medium balance. So I don't have a lot of trouble staying focused on my finances or staying motivated, but I know that is an issue for people. And my answer to your question, now I'm actually getting to the answer to your question. My answer would be to surround yourself with people who have similar goals, whether it's in real life and, a friend who's also on a similar journey, or somebody who you can call up and say, hey girl, I'm struggling. I just bought 5 pairs of shoes and I wonder what I can do. And you should have that friend that can be like, girl, take them shoes back. You haven't worn them, take them back and put that money into your emergency fund or put it towards your credit card debt. So having somebody in your life who can check you when you need them is a good thing to have that accountability. But, this is the world of technology. We're here talking live. I got people across the water, across the globe who are tuning in live. Join a Facebook group, join a community. I myself, I have an accountability group of people who are working towards similar goals. All kinds of different things that you can do to keep yourself motivated. And for me, I'm a visual person, so I like having charts. I made some nice little savings charts and different things that I can put up. I'm going to do a separate video to show you those. If you haven't downloaded them, you can get them for free. And just make a chart, write things down, get a journal. Speaking of that, I just happen to have this on my desk. No, I did not plan this. If I span this camera, I got boxes and boxes of my new planners that I designed. Thanks to everybody who's already purchased one. And that's my Beyond the Budget Money Planner. It's got journal pages, mindset pages, gratitude pages, budget worksheets, a retirement brain dump, vision boards, all kinds of stuff in this little journal/planner. But it doesn't have to be that. Of course, I'm trying to plug my stuff. This is my channel. But if you don't want to buy, yes, Celeste says nice plug. If you don't want to buy this, hey, don't buy it. Get yourself a black and white notebook from the Dollar Tree and do it yourself. Do a DIY. You don't have to spend money. But if you do want to buy a planner, yes, take a look at the Beyond the Budget Money Planner. So do those things. Write it down. Write it in a journal. Keep a budget spreadsheet. I have a free copy. Many of you have been using it for a long time. A free Excel spreadsheet you could use whatever is going to float your boat, whatever you're going to stick to, that's what I say do with your budget. And like I said, most importantly, surround yourself with people who have similar goals. Not don't hang out with those friends who just want to shop all the time and go out to lunch. All right. Let's see. So it says pay yourself first, start with a low amount, then increase it. Yeah, a lot of people ascribe to pay yourself first. I personally put a spin on it because I always like to pay my tithe first. So I don't like to say pay myself first, but I like to pay myself like I pay a bill. But the same principle goes, because you're basically making it a priority to pay yourself and to put up something for the future. All right. And Rachel's Place says, how following channels like this has definitely taught me to save, budget, and pay off debt. So yes, in Rachel's Place, this is a way to create that community for yourself if you don't have people in your real life who are on board and want to do similar things. Use technology, come here on YouTube, read blogs, listen to podcasts, create your own mentors in your head. People who are your virtual mentors. Definitely Dave Ramsey was one of those people for me early on. Let's see. Alicia says, I saw a video today talking about saving is not investing. What are your thoughts on that? Okay, so that's a good point. I mean, a lot of times the two terms are used interchangeably, but they are in fact different. Savings generally is going to be something that may be a little more short term, possibly, and also something that you're not really going to get a great return on your investment for. So if you put your money in a traditional savings account, you're really not going to get very much interest at all unless you have a humongous amount of money in that account. The best way to really build wealth is to invest, because you're keeping pace with inflation, or you're outpacing inflation. And inflation basically is your dollar gets weaker and weaker every year as time goes on. So that's why when I was a kid, gas was 97 cents, and now it's $2 and some change. Maybe it's $2.97. Or if you buy a premium like me, then it's even more expensive than that. $3.22, I think, is what I paid the other day per gallon. So that's what that means. Wages are not going up with the same at the same rate as inflation. So our wages are staying stagnant, but bills keep going up, right? So I always say not everybody's popping bottles and jet setting around the globe and spending. But look, when it gets down to the wire and the money can only go so far, most people are not necessarily purchasing handbags and shoes on their credit card, but it's gas, it's groceries, it's school supplies for the kids. Anybody else feel that these school supply lists are ridiculous? I'm not the only one. So Alicia, to answer your question, saving and investing, there's a little bit of overlap, but there is a difference. I tend to look at my savings more as like more short-term gains. So money that I can access quickly if we do go into a recession, money that I can tap quickly, as opposed to money that is in the stock market growing, outpacing inflation, that I'm going to tap probably some years down the line. So it could be tempting to put all of your savings into the stock market, but then events like yesterday happens and the stock market drops 800 points, and that's an immediate loss if you have to sell those assets off. But if you have a robust emergency fund, that's money that you can lean on until the stock market comes back up. All right. Renicio, I hope I said your name right, says I'm late. Hi. Hello. Alicia says, how do you teach your kids about not spending money on everything and having budget-friendly fun for summer and holidays? So, I mean, just letting them watch what I do. They already know what a budget is. They already know what it is. And they also know that they can't just spend mommy's money and daddy's money just willy-nilly. We go into the store and they want something. And I'm like, is that a need or is it a want? If it's a need, it's definitely something I'm taking care of. If it's something that's just a want and you just want to buy it on a whim, how about you spend your money on it? And then when I say that, they clam up real quick and they're like, nope, I'm holding on to my money. They want to spend my money and keep theirs. So they know what it is to save money. And I like to use that same analogy when it comes to a credit card. Using a credit card at times is like spending somebody else's money. You can get real happy when it comes to like, oh, I want that. And that immediate gratification and swipe. The kids are the same way. So for me, it's just having like informal conversations with them. Telling them that when we go on vacation, we need to save for it. I did a thing where we were saving coins for a while and we used that towards our vacation last summer. All kinds of little exercises and just talks with them about the importance of saving. And they already know that, if they get scholarships to college, they do well, then some of the money that we've been putting aside for them, they can use it to get a car. And so that also incentivizes them to put some skin in the game and do well in school. And there are going to be some payoffs for that as well. As Free says, hi, Nicole. Thanks for all the info. Love you, sis. Love you too. Thank you for your support. Rakia Smith says, yes, the mindset. Oh, child, I'm struggling. Oh, I know it's a struggle. I know it is. Soybean says, should we focus on paying credit card debt or emergency savings? Excellent question, Soybeans. So it depends on your situation. For me, I would say it's going to be very, very important to have at least some money, having a starter emergency fund before you can throw every dollar at credit cards. Because if you have nothing in savings and you're throwing every extra dollar that you have at the credit cards, what happens when another emergency comes up? That means it's going right on the credit card. So everything that you did to that point is kind of null and void because the credit card debt is continuing to accumulate. So if you have a cash cushion where you could use that money to spend for emergencies in the interim, as you're paying off that debt, that is very helpful. So I definitely recommend having something in savings first. And if you have to pay the minimums on your credit card for a little bit until you can get, at least something, get that first $1,000 in savings, then, do that. That's what you got to do. You got to prioritize. But at the same time, as soon as you feel comfortable that you have enough in your savings to do that, then start attacking the credit card debt. Celeste says, I do both. I did both too when I was paying off student loans. I didn't have credit card debt, but I put money into savings. I continued to invest in my workplace accounts and my Roth IRA. And then I put all of my extra side hustle money and extra money I had coming in into paying off those student loan debts and debt. And that's how I was able to get it done relatively quickly. And it was like 5 years. It took me to pay off almost 6 figures. Jasmine says, should I pay off debt first or keep building my emergency savings? Okay, same question. I can afford to pay off my student loan, but my emergency savings fund will be cut in half, and I'm currently looking for a new job. So that second part of your question is an important distinction. So that's sort of the question: should I take money out of my savings and knock out the debt in one fell swoop? Depends on your comfort level. That's one of those mindset things where if you need that security of having an emergency fund in place, you might not want to do that. But at the same time, if you feel like you'll be conquering that debt by just getting rid of it in one fell swoop, then do it. And then you can build back up your emergency fund even faster because you're not paying all that extra money in interest. Celeste says, I don't include my tithe and offering. That actually goes first. Amen to that. And then I work with what's left. Got you. Same here. Day says, Jasmine, keep focusing on building your emergency fund and have that cash cushion. Soybean says that, Celeste, thank you. I'm doing that, but just wanted to make sure. Yep, you guys are thinking alike. See, that's that like-minded individuals coming together. Saving these coins adds up quickly. Celeste says, I do cash spending rather than using my card. Yep, I'm all about cash spending, especially in the beginning. Love always. Jasmine says, are you paying for your kids' college? So for me, I want them to have skin in the game, like I said. So that means for them, you got to work hard and get some scholarship money. We do have some money in a 529 plan. We have 3 kids. And the way I calculate it, it's going to be a whole lot of money to pay 100% for all 3 kids for college. And I'm at the place where I'm comfortable with not sacrificing my future in retirement for my kids. I feel like, as parents, my husband and I have done a lot to sacrifice for them as it is. And I don't want it to be a point of being a burden for them later because I gave them too much in the beginning. And then I neglected to save for myself for the future. And then I'm back living with them when I'm old and they're adults with kids of their own. If that's an option, if that's something I want to do and they want to do, I don't necessarily foresee me wanting to do that. But if that's something that, I want to do, then that's one thing. But Many adults, older adults, wind up back with their kids because they can't afford to sustain their lifestyle in retirement because they didn't save enough. So it's that fine balance. So it's that fine balance of making sure that you're taking care of your kids, of course, meeting all of their needs as much as possible without overindulging them and saving for yourself for the future. Let's see. And then, like I said, I've already told them if they get scholarships, then we probably will help them to get a car when they go to college. And that incentivizes them. My 11-year-old is already talking about that. She keeps bringing that up. Joseph says, hi. Jasmine says, got it. Thank you. Joseph says, how do I get the coaching once it's paid for? So Joseph, I saw your email come through this morning. Once it's processed, you'll get an email link to my schedule. So I do one-on-one coaching. So that's what Joseph is referring to. So if you ever need one-on-one help and want to hop on a Skype call with me or hop on a phone call, I do have a link to my schedule. I do have coaching packages and things like that. So you'll get an email probably before the end of the day with a link to my schedule, and we will hop on the phone together. Let's see. Niece N says, how did you and your husband budget for y'all's wedding? That was like 1,000 years ago. I've been married for almost 15 years. And I really hate weddings. Let me just put it. I really dislike weddings. And part of it was because I did not have an enjoyable experience. It was very stressful planning my wedding. I had just finished undergrad. My husband actually at the time, I finished December of 2003. He finished May 2004. We got married June 2004, literally within weeks after he graduated. We were broke. We had just finished school, had very little money. My dad helped to pay for half the reception, which was the biggest bulk of the cost of the wedding. My aunt paid for my wedding dress, which was nice. We got a fair amount of cash as gifts. Everybody knew we were young, just finishing school. But we basically went kind of bare bones on the wedding. It wasn't very elaborate. We probably had 125 people at the reception. We did an open wedding because we were at a big church and lots of people wanted to come and support us, but we was like, we can't pay for all y'all at the reception. So we had cake and punch after the wedding at the church for everybody, just for all the church members. And then we had a private reception for about 125, family and close friends. But we still ended up spending probably like what? It was under $10,000 though. It wasn't like a ton of money at the time, which now I don't know what you can get for $10,000, but that was 15 years ago. But girl, I hate weddings. I don't even like going to weddings anymore because it was so stressful. Butterfly Wolf says, hi, I'm new. Welcome. Winnie Angels 1 says, what kind of account should I have my emergency fund in? An account that accrues interest maybe. Yes. So I like to use a money market account where you can get some interest. It's not going to be a ton, but at least it's better than like your regular run-of-the-mill savings account. So either a money market account or a high interest savings account, which these days high interest is like 2.3%. If you can get 2%, 2.3%, that's pretty good for a savings account or a money market. So that's what I would recommend. And I would recommend online so you can keep your paws off of it and not be tempted to touch it too often. Leticia Feliciano says, hello, with no credit, how do I build credit? So that's a good question. I would say, let me put this out there first. I'm not anti-credit. I'm not anti-credit card because I do think it's important. And especially if you're a person of color, that you have a good credit score. And, it always baffles me when people say, credit score doesn't matter. And I'm like, it doesn't matter for certain people. And it doesn't matter if you are a rich person. Credit will not matter if you already have money. So it always tickles me when Dave Ramsey says that. And it's like, Dave Ramsey, look, you're a millionaire. You don't need credit. You don't need it. But if you're a person that's trying to build your life and build something up, there is a place for credit. It's going to be important because nowadays you can barely get a cell phone without good credit or an apartment. So I think it's important to maintain your credit. And for me, I've always been about maintaining my credit. I don't go out of my way to do extra stuff for it because I'm at a place where I don't feel like I want to do any more financing. Maybe when we sell this house and downsize, we will, hopefully be able to buy something smaller in cash when the kids are out of the house. But I don't foresee me ever having to really finance anything, God willing. I'm praying that will never be the case. So I'm not as worried about credit for me, but especially for a young person just getting out of school, you need to maintain some credit. So apply if you can trust yourself with it. Apply for your first credit card if you don't have one. Put your gas on it every month and then pay it off at the end of the month one time and in full. I say gas for your car because that's something where you're not just going to splurge. I mean, who splurges on gas for their car, right? You're only going to drive so far. And it's kind of like there's a certain cap that you're going to reach. You're not going to just go crazy with, let me just go and get some extra gas. Don't work like that. So use it for your gas every month. And that way you're not tempted to overspend on it and then pay it off. That alone will help to help you maintain and build credit. Even if it's just has a credit limit of $500 or $250. That's a good way to get started. Just don't go shopping with it. And don't get department store cards. Those are the worst. So I'll take a few more questions and then I'll wrap up in the next 5 minutes or so. I didn't want to go over 50 minutes. I promised my kids I was going to play Uno with them. So let me hop off of here soon and get that done. You're welcome. No problem. What do you do after debt-free emergency funds and retirement? I don't feel comfortable investing in the stock market right now. So that's a mindset issue. I would probably say explore a little more about why you feel like you don't feel comfortable investing in the stock market. I mean, it could be if you're close enough to retirement and you're like, I've built my nest egg, I don't need the extra money, then that totally makes sense. Totally makes sense if you're not like wanting to put a bunch of extra money into the stock market. Now, I mean, stock market always has the ability to be volatile. So, I would say at that point, if you have done everything that you felt like you wanted to do, then now it's time to really enjoy your life more. What other things do you want to do with the money that you've accumulated? Do you want to travel? Are you interested in starting a business? Do you want to put money aside for your kids or grandkids? It all really just depends on what your priorities are. Let's see. Money Saves a Lot says, thank you for your help. Melanie Smith says, will this be up as a replay? Absolutely. And I will send it out to those of you who are on my email list as well. Hopefully. Brittany says, thank you for going live. Have fun playing Uno. Thank you so much. Nubia Anja says, hi, Nicole. Thanks for going live and having this Q&A. I didn't have a questions, but appreciate the forum. Thank you so much. Jasmine says, we appreciate you taking time out of your day and giving us these gems. Raw says, thanks. You are great. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate y'all hopping on with me. Like I said, I felt like I had been MIA for a while up in here with my ride or die OGs, but I'm still here. I'm still standing. And I'm thankful that you guys trust me enough to listen to what I have to say. Melanie Smith says, I was late. Thank you for your advice. Blog is moving along. Awesome, Melanie. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. I'll wrap it up here and go play Uno with these girls. And Rosalie says, do you coupon? Casually. Not as much as I used to. I'm a casual couponer. Tammy just says, thank you for sharing. No questions at this time, but I enjoyed the video. Have fun with your kids. Thank you. Jimmy says, keep up the good work. Thanks. Ms. WW says, refreshing video listening while working. Nice. Get it in when you can. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Hope to do more of these Q&As. So if you want more Q&As, definitely let me know. Drop a yes real quick before you sign off. And I will definitely be sure to do more. I like to maybe try to do one once a month. I think it's really great to hop in here and do something impromptu. Yeses are coming through. Yes, definitely. Yes. All right. Awesome, guys. All right. Melanie says, stay well and be blessed. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yes, and yes. Yes, coming through. All right, guys. Until next time, live well and be blessed. Hopefully, I can figure out how to actually end this live stream after I've said that. All right, take care, guys.